another rendition of Get Hip. I'm so excited because a few of my favorite people decided to come back and join us once more. Tonight, we're going to be talking about why it's so important to be connected to God. And so I want to go ahead and get started by asking you all what you do to stay connected to God.
So I'll start. The major thing I do is pray. And before I explain why, let me kind of give you a little bit of backstory. So I was raised in church, so it was kind of like I didn't want to say it was like an obligation, but it was something that was just kind of required of me as I was growing up. Like, hey, we get up on Sunday, you go to church, you have dinner and all of that stuff. So it was kind of just something that was built into my schedule. But then as I got to college, I found it to be more difficult just because I had relied so much on having that connection through my family that I had to figure out how to do it. Well, I don't want to say do it, but figure out how to have my connection and have like a relationship with God on my own. So for like the first my first semester on campus, it was like I was kind of struggling on figuring out how I should do it and go about it, because like I said, I was so reliant on that through my family and having my connection through my family and everything like that. But and things got really challenging for me, so I think that's one of the reasons I came back. I don't want to say I strayed away, to say the least. And that's just something that happened because I was so overwhelmed with the transition between high school and college and living on my own and everything like that. I don't know if it's the same for everybody else, but I know for me that I found myself relying less on my faith and kind of trying to rely more on myself, and not something I really recommend. It became really difficult for me to just kind of balance everything out on my own. So I would say that's kind of what started my own relationship with God. So I would say definitely praying was the main thing that I did. And then after we went online for COVID and everything, I would say going onto the church services on my own. And even though I was in the house with my family, still being able to having and kind of forcing myself to stay having my own independent relationship with God, as opposed to watching it in the family with church, kind of strengthened my own resolve. Because it's I'm doing this for myself. I'm not doing this because it was a requirement or something that I was obligated to do in my family.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, Rodney?
I actually have a very similar story to Selah. I definitely did steer away from the church for a while. I felt like I was invincible and I could kind of figure out things on my own. I would say my freshman year, and I just didn't have that connection. And I can say now that I have rebuilt that connection with the Lord, that was not the smartest decision. My freshman year, me steering away and everything. So I would just say, just remember where you come from. I also was raised in the church as well. So I used to go to church every single Sunday, pray every night as a family, listen to gospel music all the time. So, kind of figuring out how to create your own relationship with the Lord is very important as you get older.
The main thing I would suggest is to find accountability partners, or just people that are older than you or around the same age or even younger than you, that I wouldn't necessarily say are just better Christians or XYZ, just people that you look at and say, I like what they're at in their spiritual journey. Let me see if I can tag along with them as we learn together. That's what I did with one of my old mentors. Now he turns one of my good peers, and he is still older than me by a couple years. But every Tuesday and Friday, actually, we meet up for a Bible study. And it's just three of us. It's me, him, and another guy who's teaching the Bible study. And we can get it in there for an hour and a half, 2 hours or so. We talk about what we're learning. We talk about our day. We talk about how that translates our day into what we're learning. So that's been a blessing for me, definitely, since COVID has happened. And just the advice for the to-be college students, I would say, lock in on a church, not as soon as you get to college, because you got to test out different places, but as soon as possible, test out different churches, ask around, see what's going on there, because that is extremely valuable when you're down in a place that you may or not be familiar with. When you come to a different environment that's anywhere from 5,000 to 6,000 miles away from home, or however far California is from here, it's valuable to have God there with you.
Awesome, awesome. So I heard kind of like a common trend between you guys about shifting from habit, like you all said you were raised in the church, and so how important it is to shift from like doing things out of habit or repetition versus actually cultivating and developing a real relationship, a real personal relationship with God. And so I just want to hear from you guys about why that matters. Like, why is it so important to stay connected now? You've listed some of the different ways, and I'm thankful. Those are awesome ways to stay connected to God. But so just refresh our memories or enlighten some persons that might not already be aware as to the importance of being connected to God in the first place. Like, why does that matter?
For me, it gives me the energy to keep going. I kind of faced a really dark time during my freshman year, like with isolation and stuff, like, well, not isolation, but it was hard for me to connect with other people. So for me, having that relationship with God kind of gave me the motivation to keep going instead of just kind of giving up on everything that I had worked so hard for. Like, for me, it was just like, you got this. There's somebody in your corner always fighting for you, so you need to keep fighting as well, because like, this is the path that you're supposed to be on. Otherwise, you wouldn't be in this position that you were in. So that's why it's kind of like a mental game almost. So I always keep it in the back of my head, like, keep going, keep pushing. There's always someone in your corner. This is the path you're supposed to be on. Don't forget it. Like, you got to stay strong in the end.
Yeah, I agree with Selah. Just kind of reminding yourself that, you know, when you're feeling lonely or if you feel like nobody's there for you, God is always there for you, and just kind of having that as like a motivator to like keep pushing and keep going forward. Because again, life is rough. You go through different phases in life where you feel super happy, and then there's other phases where you feel super down and you feel like nobody's there for you. So I feel like it's just very important to always have that in the back of your mind, that there's always somebody there for you.
And for me, I just find, in addition to everything that they say, you know, God being like the person that's there for you when almost nobody else is there for you, it adds a sense of comfort and like joy to your, you know, regularly scheduled day. You know, even if you aren't like down in the dumps and you're having kind of like a mellow day, there's a difference between, you know, having like a good day without God, having a good day with God. I have found to be the case. And, you know, throughout your, you know, your reading and your learnings, you'll find that, you know, these things of the world will not last for too much longer. So at least in your lifetime, our lifetime, I should say. So, you know, and to be in connection with the one that's eternal is way more important than, you know, a lot of the things that even myself, like, I'm not speaking from a place that's higher than anybody else. But, you know, being with the one that's, you know, going to be there in the very, very end is way more important than the things that we occupy ourselves with today.
Awesome. I don't know why, Rodney, why you always think you're so much older. Like on the last one, you said you were an old fogey or something, and you're talking about they're like 5 years younger than you. Like, but it's okay.
You know, my friends call me Uncle Rodney sometimes, so maybe that's getting into it.
Uncle Rodney. Okay, so this is just who you are. Okay, that's fine. But so this has been great. I don't want to keep you guys for too long, but I do want to give you an opportunity, because I know last time I almost like cut y'all completely off. So like, I just want to give you an opportunity to give some advice to the students. And I know, Rodney, you said find an accountability partner. And I know that you all mentioned prayer as well.
Make a schedule, maybe. That works for some people. You know, I try to make a schedule. And for the most part, stick to it. You know, they say it takes like 66 days for a person to build a habit, and like a couple of extra months for it to become routine or something like that. You can look up the quote or however that works, but you know, just, you know, commit just some time to, you know, doing something God related. You know, if you spend, and I'm looking at my PS5 right now, if you spend an hour and a half on video games, you know, just work to maybe shorten that time and increase God time incrementally. Of course, you can't just cut off something cold turkey. You can try, and you may end up going back to it, but you know, just try incrementally, just trying to like cut out certain things and implementing God in your life, and you'll see the benefits of that, even at, you know, your age. Because I mean, it doesn't matter what age you are, you still go through stuff. and it's still rough no matter what. So
for me, I would just kind of say take some time out of your day that works, because I know for me sometimes my day is just super busy. You know, I don't have time, even though I pray at the end of the night and then I pray in the morning. But it's like during the day you also need to recognize like, hey, it's okay to talk to God during the day. If you're driving to work, well, you gotta learn old enough to work. But let's say you going to the park or you're on the metro or something like that. Like just take a minute to kind of I don't want to say meditate, but like kind of just sit and relax and just kind of talk to God. Like you don't have to say it out loud. Like you don't have to verbally say it, but it's like have that conversation with God in your head, because that also works. So you don't always have to be talking about it like verbally in that way.
I guess I would just say start by like going to church every Sunday, because I know not everybody does that. So like just start going to church every Sunday, really listening to the message. I feel like most of the time the messages help me get through the week, and just writing down like important points and things from that message to keep you motivated throughout the week. Because again, like you can set goals at the beginning of the year and say what you want to do, but you got to hold yourself accountable and take baby steps and not try to leap into things, because that's not realistic, because then you're going to go back to those bad habits like Rodney said. So
Awesome. Great advice. Just a couple things that I just want to kind of add on. So I love the idea of setting a schedule. I love, Selah, the idea of setting some time out of in the middle of your day to just get into God's presence. And so just want to add on to that. Remember, prayer can take all different shapes and forms. It does not always require you kneeling. You can certainly pray at any time. Whenever you want to talk to God, God is willing to listen. And so being mindful of the fact that God just always wants to hear from you, and that he loves you enough to always be there and open to hear from you at any time. I just wanted to add that. And then there was something else. Wanted to share what I do. So I do a devotional every single morning. I wake up, I do meditate, and I take some time and just try to really start my day with God intentionally. Like it's about being intentional about it. So it's that shift again, like you all mentioned, the shift. And so it's a shift between doing things out of habit and doing things intentionally and with purpose behind it. And so whoever's watching, if you can just take a couple of minutes out of your day to be intentional with your time, and it doesn't have to be long. It's like literally one Drake song. I listen to the new little 3-song album. It's like one Drake song. If you like, don't listen to it for like 3 minutes and just give that time to God and just allow God to show you what he can do even with that little bit of time. Okay. So that's all that I have. Do you guys have anything else that you all wanted to share before we go? Okay, well, awesome. I have loved this. And we got some great reviews from the last one. So I hope that we can keep doing this. Hope y'all come back again next week. And if you have any questions that you want them to answer or to give advice about, then go ahead and send me an email at revmimi@kingdom.global or drop it in the YouTube comments. All right, y'all, stay popping and be blessed.